Howdy do y'all, this is John, and today we are talking about Lilo and Stitch, a classic film from 2002 by Walt Disney Studios. And in Lilo and Stitch, it deals with this little girl named Lilo who ends up adopting this seemingly dog and names him Stitch. But as it turns out, Stitch is actually an alien whose technical name is Experiment 626. And there are aliens trying to recapture him. So yes, you have this mixture of a family drama and an alien movie just thrown into one pot. And we have a movie. And it's an extremely great one. I love this movie to death. And, I'm glad I'm finally reviewing it. So getting into it, first and foremost, what I love about this film, the story, while it has, some familiar elements to it, there are a lot of original ideas behind the movie. There have been movies in the past that have been made that are about, broken families, trying to stitch them back together and everything like that. And there have also been movies made in the past about an alien coming to Earth and other aliens, coming to Earth to recapture that alien. And apparently no one thought of trying to stitch the two together until this movie was conceived. On paper, it's a very weird thing to try and stitch the two together, but in terms of execution with this movie, it is executed extremely well. Now, the two lead characters, Lilo and the alien Stitch, what's there to not love about those two? Lilo is a little girl, she has all the typical tropes of a little girl. She's a bit naive. She's an idealist, but also, she's kind of an outcast. A lot of people in her own school, in her own town, don't really want to associate with her. So you feel very bad for her. Then along comes Stitch, who's this alien, and, the two's dynamic is just, it's so great, because they're polar opposites. Lilo's the sweet little girl, the sweet little innocent girl, and Stitch is just an agent of chaos, always wrecking things, always destroying things. But at the end of the day, those two learn a lot from each other. Stitch learns, the values of family bond, and Lilo, starts to mature and understand things about responsibility and stuff, and it comes to make her understand her older sister, if I remember correctly, her name's Nani, even more. And this comes the part of where, why they named Stitch Stitch. Because Lilo lives in a broken family. Her parents were killed. Something they only really imply in the movie. But yes, they are dead. And her older sister, she is the only person who can take care of Lilo. And Stitch is named Stitch because his whole purpose in this film is to restitch this family together. Make these two sisters just understand each other a lot better. A movie about, family values and, just learning to love your own family. You don't see those a lot anymore. Now, how's the animation? The animation's great. Okay, I love 90s and 2000s animated Disney movies. In my opinion, just 2D animation was at its best during that time period. And I kind of miss it, We live in the world where everything's CGI and 3D now. But I'm not gonna lie, if Disney like goes back to doing 2D animation, I'd love to see that. And in case you guys are wondering, yes, this is true peak quality Disney animation. The animation looks great. I just watched the movie in 4K, and you know, even in 4K, you don't notice bugs in the animation very easily. Just goes to show you how good of a job they did back then. The voice acting is also very good. I don't know the names of all of the voice actors in this movie. I do know Vin Rames apparently voiced Cobra Bubbles. For the longest time, I thought he was Michael Clark Duncan. May he rest in peace. But no, it was Vin Rames. Great job on Vin's part. And apparently one of the directors, Chris Sanders, actually voiced Stitch. Iconic. That's all I'm going to say. But really, all of the voice actors do a good job, even the ones whose names I don't know. And lastly, the musical score. The musical score in this movie is friggin' iconic. Alan Silvestri did the musical score to this movie, and he did a great job. Then again, a lot of his music's iconic, you know, Back to the Future, Predator, just to name a couple. But Alan did a great job in this film with his music. You know, he kind of incorporated not only his typical style into it, but he also incorporated elements of Hawaiian culture, like the choir scenes in Hawaiian instead of Latin, which is more traditional. He incorporated with some of the tracks Hawaiian instruments, and he incorporated them in a way that works. And I cannot think of a better musical score for this movie. So guys, at the end of the day, Lilo and Stitch. I love this movie. Lilo and Stitch is easily one of my favorite, you know, movies of all time. This film came out when I was a kid, when I was about 4 years old. And, you know, it's definitely a little jarring to call it a classic now, but it is what it is. Lilo and Stitch is a classic film. I love it. If you guys have not seen it, I highly recommend it. And, you know, it's just great family entertainment. I'm going to give Lilo and Stitch a 10. Now, I know this is the part where, you know, I typically say I'm not going to go and watch the remake, because the last few Disney remakes that they've done, that I've reviewed the original on, I have said that. But with Lilo and Stitch, I'm going to make the exception. I know. Shocker. The thing is that, you know, as unnecessary as it is, it looks like their heart's in the right place with Lilo and Stitch. Because it just has the look and vibe of the original film in it. And unlike, you know, some other Disney remakes, it doesn't look like a shot-for-shot remake. It looks like they're just telling the same story, but from a different perspective. From a different artist's point of view. And honestly, even if the movie turns out bad, you know, if their heart's in the right place and they don't, like, truly ruin it, like, wokeify it, I'm gonna give them brownie points for it. However, if my worst fears are realized, I'm gonna call them out like I always do. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Please look forward to more videos real soon. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please also subscribe if you're new to the channel. And as always, please remember, the Badetsky will return.